Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohamad Habehh. I'm a Palestinian-American community organizer based here in Washington, D.C.
You've had a unique journey growing up as a Palestinian in Paterson, New Jersey. Can you share how this experience has shaped your identity and perspectives?
Growing up in Paterson, New Jersey as a Muslim, as a Palestinian-American was definitely a great experience. You know, growing up in a country, in a post 9/11 country, being around people who have the same identity as you, same religion as you, definitely makes things a lot easier to be brought up understanding what is important to you and what is important to your people. So growing up in a community that had so many Palestinians, had so many Muslims, definitely made it easier for me to grow into the person I am, and definitely made it a lot easier for me to care about the things that I currently care about, the things that I work for.
Reflecting on your college days at Rutgers, how did your involvement in campus activism contribute to your personal and professional growth?
You know, Rutgers is the most diverse campus in the nation. And growing up and attending a university like that definitely made it easier for me to advocate for Palestine, advocate for Muslim issues as well. So I was glad to be a part of the SJP, MSA, SGA, and be as involved as I could on campus, because I knew that advocating on campus was not only important for Muslim students while I was there, but also important for the ones who would be there after.
Joining American Muslims for Palestine was a significant step in your journey. What led you to this decision?
Well, as a student, I studied social work in undergrad, and I had come to realize that a lot of the work that I cared about needed the skills that I was learning. And it made me realize that getting involved in nonprofit work was a lot easier when you really cared about the subject, when you really cared about the cause you were advocating for. I had a lot of experience with AMP before then. I had a lot of experience advocating locally, whether in college or in the local community. So it made sense to take that next step and to work for an organization that not only I cared for, but that I believed in its mission.
How do you perceive the role of Muslim Americans and the concept of working with the collective in effectively advocating for Palestinian rights?
I think we as a Muslim American community have been convinced, or wrongly convinced I should say, that we are not capable of achieving the things we want to achieve, whether it be locally in domestic issues or internationally in the issues that we care about. And that's not the truth. A lot of us love talking about, you know, why have Muslim countries, why have Arab countries not taken a stance when it comes to the issues we care about, like Palestine. However, if we as an American community, an American Muslim community, were to advocate as best as we could, if we were to take full advantage of what is given to us and our abilities over here in the United States, we wouldn't have to worry about Palestine. We wouldn't have to worry about any of the international or domestic issues that we care about. I think that we as a community, once we are able to achieve everything we are meant to, we will be able to better support our brothers and sisters. And that comes in a political sense, that also comes in a social sense, and in different ways as well.
After October the 7th, what became the primary goals and strategies of the Muslim community in furthering Palestinian liberation?
You know, when we talk about the goal, obviously the goal is to end the genocide, first and foremost. But for us to be able to achieve the things that we wanted to, there are three main ways. The first one is through education or awareness. The more people, there was a stat that came out a few years ago that said that the more Americans learn about Israel, the less they like it. It means the more Americans learn about Israel, the more they believe in the Palestinian cause, the more they believe in Palestinian self-determination. So it became really essential in a moment like this to help highlight what was going on, raise public awareness in different ways, whether that be through social media, whether it be through the articles that were coming out or the different news reports that were coming out from Gaza and from around Palestine, or even the things that our community took front and center in, things such as the billboard campaigns that we did and ad spaces that we took out from newspapers and things like that. Our community did a really good job of raising awareness, and it's to the point now where a majority of Americans not only understand what we're talking about, but sympathize with the Palestinians, are calling for an end to this, and calling for a ceasefire. But additionally, as well, are understanding and calling a spade by calling what the Israeli government is doing a genocide. A large amount of Americans now understand that what is going on is a genocide and want U.S. aid to Israel to stop because of it. Additionally, organizing. We here in D.C. hosted major rallies, one bringing out over 300,000 people, another just a few months later bringing out over 400,000 people. These rallies not only brought hope and served as a way of showing the Palestinian people that they're not alone in this moment, but they also showed those who stand against us that the American public is in full support of the Palestinian people. The American public as a whole will continue to hit the streets at a time where they kept saying that the people would forget, the Muslims would forget, those who support justice would forget. We showed them that we wouldn't forget and that we will keep advocating for what we care for. And the last thing is political advocacy. The majority of calls that have been going into Congress regarding in the past couple of months since October 7th have been in support of the Palestinian people, been calling for an end to the genocide, been calling for a ceasefire. We've seen so many calls go in, and it's to the point where the majority of calls that are going in regarding Palestine are from our people, are from our communities. Over 30 states around the country have organized calling campaigns that go on daily. Hundreds of calls going in daily. Even states like Montana, Wyoming are getting calls from our people about our issues. States that, you wouldn't think our community is in, but the people who support justice are there. So we're doing a very good job with all three of these facets of the work, and we've seen it to be very beneficial.
Share the impact and significance of over 400,000 people taking to the streets of D.C. to protest for Gaza. What did that moment mean for the cause?
In this moment, there are a lot of people who like to say that protests don't matter. There are a lot of people who like to say that these grassroots mobilizations don't matter. However, that's not true. When 400,000 people hit the streets, it made noise. It made noise, and it let those in power who kept saying that people would stop caring about Palestine, that people don't care about what's going on in Gaza, it showed them that they were wrong. Additionally, in a moment like this, we know that not only the federal government takes notice of these types of actions, but so do the Israelis. There were numerous reports of Netanyahu coming out and saying that he's bothered by the amount of protests that are going on in Western capitals. And furthermore, it also shows the Palestinian people that they're not forgotten. In the streets of Washington, D.C., they are not forgotten. In the streets of Western capitals, they're not forgotten. And we will not stop until their oppression is over.
You frequently advocated for and actively engaged in disruptive tactics and activism. Why do you believe in this approach, and what impact do you think these actions have in the broader context of social change?
I believe disruptive tactics are essential in a moment like this. in a moment where the stakes are so high, where we're trying to end a genocide and end U.S. support for that genocide, we must take these types of actions. When you are disrupting a Congress member, a senator, or even the president, you are showing them that in the real world, their actions are not supported, that the American public does not support what they are doing. And when you disrupt them, when we disrupt them as a community, we're showing them that we will hold them accountable.
Being arrested is a profound experience. Could you share what this experience was like for you and how it influenced your activism?
I believe that in the Islamic tradition that we have a lot of role models who have made sacrifices, such as being jailed, such as being arrested for speaking truth to power or standing against what is wrong. I, following that tradition, was proud to do my part. I think that in a moment like this, that we as American Muslims need to take actions that we're capable of and do the things that we do our part. And we need to do our part. And that is why I was comfortable, I was proud to do what I did, and I was proud to be arrested for speaking out for the truth and speaking out against those who are committing the atrocities against our brothers and sisters in Gaza.
In a world burdened with global challenges, how can Gen Z innovatively engage in community work without being overwhelmed?
I believe that we live in a time with a lot of issues. Oppression, environmental issues, and so many others come to mind when I hear this question. I think that we as a generation must do our part. That doesn't mean everyone has to do everything, but everyone has to do something. And I think that is the most important thing. We're at a time where everything is do or die. Whether we're talking about the rights of others or even the future of this planet, we're the generation that has to change things.
If Palestine were to be liberated within your lifetime, what would be the very first thing you would do?
You know, this is a question that I think a lot about. And I think that for over 75 years now, we as Muslims have been deprived of the blessed land of Palestine. So I think that for me as a Muslim, and for all Muslims, our first goal when Palestine is free, inshaAllah, is to pray in Masjid al-Aqsa, and to visit the holy sites of Palestine, such as Al-Masjid al-Ibrahimi in Al-Khalil, and so many other beautiful places. To get involved in the work for Palestine here in the US, feel free to check out American Muslims for Palestine at ampalestine.org or on social media at ampalestine.